Salesforce officially is acquiring Slack for an eye-popping $37 billion. The market so far has not received it well because the value of Salesforce has gone down by more than the sales price, which ironically is the exact opposite of what we saw with NVIDIA and ARM, where NVIDIA's stock price went up more than their acquisition price. It's a monster acquisition, and while Salesforce has always competed with Microsoft in things like ERP, CRM. This is the shot across the bow to both Google and Microsoft for personal productivity and more of a collaboration approach. And I think, I really recognized, listen, more competition is better. I say that, but I believe that the street was sour on it for the same reasons that I'm a little bit skeptical on it, in that I think it's going to take an incredible amount of increased investment to turn Slack into a relevant competitor to Google and Microsoft. I don't believe that chat is an application or a business. I believe it's a feature. Just like we saw with cloud storage that used to be a business, that's now a feature of all the suites. I really think that wears that out. And I do understand that Slack is more than that. It's also about automation, right? It's taking that as a base and through low code or no code tools, developing apps around that. But at the other side of my mouth, I'll say, I think Salesforce is going to have to buy a Zoom. And then what is its answer for personal productivity? I mean, the fact is, we all keep pretending that we don't do Word documents or PowerPoints or Excel, but it keeps, that is the tool, or those are the tools for businesses today, whether you're a Gen Z, whether you're a millennial or an old Gen Xer like me, or my brother who's a boomer. It's the reason that Apple got out of trying to compete with Office 365. So before I turn it over to you, I like competition. Competition is good. Competition drives innovation. Competition lowers costs, and that's only good for consumers. I'm skeptical at the price and the lack of discussion on the increased investment this is going to take, namely buying a Zoom or creating out of thin air a competitive personal productivity system that is competitive, file competitive with Microsoft. Your take, Daniel.
Oh, wow. I'll try to be quick. I talked about this so much that I'm gone. I've lost my hair. So 27.7 billion, you're seeing acquisition after acquisition doubling in size for the biggest acquisition. So you had about 6 to 7 for MuleSoft, 14 for Tableau, 27.7 for Slack. Huge. I think the street definitely felt that price was too steep for a sub $1 billion run rate company that is struggling to grow. Now, Slack was growing 50% all year on average or so the last couple quarters, while Zoom was going 350%. I do want to, uncontentiously say, Pat, I think there is a 0% chance Salesforce acquires Zoom. It's too expensive. I'm not even sure which would cost more, if Microsoft bought Salesforce or if Salesforce tried to buy Zoom. I mean, I'm just saying that's how expensive Zoom is right now. Zoom is taking over the world. But I do agree with you. Right now, they're going to depend on something like Amazon Connect and video features from a third party, which is kind of defeats the purposes of why keep buying companies if you're just going to keep integrating technologies, right? If you're going to integrate other people, then just do that. What Benioff needs to do and wants to do, I believe, is own the productivity experience. Where do you go when you first turn on the machine? I've said this a lot about different tools. You need to want to start there. That's why Office 365 and Teams have been so successful in growing 100 million daily users this year. You're in Office, you're in email. Oh, let's go over and have a meet. Let's have a chat. It's very fluid to the way someone, a productivity worker, works. Google has done the same thing with Workspace, albeit at a smaller volume thus far, but it's become more and more compelling. And in fact, a lot of people really prefer it. The thing about Slack is, from a chat standpoint, a lot of people did prefer it, but it just missed on everything else. It just didn't have everything else. So Salesforce did acquire a company called Quip for $1 billion, and it does offer some of this productivity toolbox that you're going to need. But yeah, Pat, I think they're going to have to buy up the rest of the suite and make it really, really an easy to adopt experience. Now, everybody can push back, but I do think Benioff's a smart marketer. I do think he thought this through. I believe that deep down he thinks he can move the needle. So I look at two growth metrics here, and I'll kind of leave it on this. Growth metric one is, can Salesforce help grow Slack faster than it was growing on its own? You'll start to get a return there, and I do believe that's possible. Second question is, can it grow it as fast as Microsoft? And that's going to be almost impossible. But deep down, when you've built a company like Salesforce, you believe you can. And so the next 2, 3, 4 quarters after the acquisition will be very fun to watch.
Yeah, my final shot here is, even Google gave up on trying to define their own file formats, and now you can work on Word, PowerPoint, and Excel right inside of Google Workspaces.